Bridging Gaps, the business podcast with Deborah Levitt, sharing the challenges and stories of fellow business owners. Hello and welcome. Today I have Holly Wagner with me. Holly is a video marketer, and while her story in terms of her business itself is very interesting, the other aspect that I think is really inspirational is the fact that Holly is 25 and she's been running her own business since leaving university. So I'm really looking forward to talking to her more about that experience and sharing with us some of the challenges and the successes that she's had since leaving university. Hi, Holly. How are you?
Hi, Deborah. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am very well, thank you very much, and really pleased to have you on today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Me too. So, Holly, you run Green Kiwi Productions. And as I mentioned in the introduction, it's something that you set up out of university. So do you want to start off just by telling us what it is that Green Kiwi Productions does?
Sure, yeah. So I work with small business owners to create video marketing for them that gets results. So rather than just having like a pretty video that looks nice on their website, it actually leads their prospects into following their call to action, getting in touch with them, and most importantly, makes them money and helps them to reach more of their ideal client.
And how do you help them to do that? I know that you've mentioned elsewhere that you have a formula that helps to get people those leads.
Yeah, so a lot of people make the mistake in all their marketing, not just video marketing, of talking about themselves and just kind of talking about what they've done and maybe talking about past experiences and qualifications, when actually the client or the prospect wants to know how you can help them and how you're going to solve their issue. So we really come at it from an angle of, rather than talking about themselves, we get them I would get them to put together some marketing headlines that really ask questions that are in their ideal client's head. And from there, we then go on to showing testimonials from existing clients. And at the end, we always follow a call to action, just because if you don't have one at the end, people are just going to forget about your video, life will get in the way, and they'll never get in contact. Whereas if you tell them exactly what they need to do in order to get in touch with you, they're far more likely to do it. So all of my videos kind of follow that format to ensure that you're always going to, you've increased your chances of that prospect getting in touch with you and hopefully booking.
And do you find that most people, when you ask them to come up with some of those questions, do they understand their market and what people are likely to be asking when we're trying to find, that particular business?
To be honest, most of them not to begin with. A lot of people try to use language that kind of sounds really advanced, and because they want to sound like they're the expert, when actually your prospects and your ideal clients, probably that kind of language doesn't resonate with them. So really we kind of bring it back down to basics, and we use marketing headlines that are so simple. So for example, I work with a lot of clients in the health and wellbeing industry. So for them, their kind of questions are: do you hate the gym? Do you wish you could lose weight and feel better? Rather than using kind of loads of gym speak and using all this clever language, we really bring it down to simplify it so that your ideal clients are going to resonate with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I can see how that works, because I know for myself, when I came out of, the corporate environment, there's almost a feel that you still need to have that speak and to sound, as you say, like an expert or something, rather than speaking to somebody as just another person and somebody that you might like to have a chat with. So I can see why bringing that down to the simple levels would really work.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, even myself, when I started, I'd use language like 4K, 1080 HD, mentioning my camera and my qualification. No one cares about that. They just want to know how I can help their business to get more clients and target more of their ideal client. And, most importantly, make more money, because that's, why we're in business. We love what we do. And of course, we want to profit from it. So really, that's kind of what it comes down to.
So when you started, Holly, did you start off by doing video marketing, or what was your path to getting to what you offer today?
Well, before I started my business, or since setting up?
Since setting up.
To begin with, I would do anything video related. So I used to do weddings, I used to do event coverage, anything and everything video. But I kind of realised that I really loved working with small business owners to create marketing for them that kind of got results and would last them the lifetime of their business. So just kind of through process of elimination, I guess, more than anything, I realised who I loved working with and kind of how I could help them. And gradually I just cut it down. So I stopped doing events and stopped doing weddings. And, I've really gone quite niche to the point where I'm targeting, as I said earlier, people in the health and wellness industry. So it really has niched down right to such a specific target market. But for me, I just think they're the people I love working with. And I just discovered it through working with different clients. And kind of that's how I've got to, where I am today, really.
And did you find when you started off, were people, so having started off, because you must have been, 22 at the time when you started your business?
Yeah, it was. That's right. Just over 3 years ago.
So were people, did they kind of think, oh, well, she's just at a university and, she'll be cheap and we can get, a good deal. We're doing her a favor. Or how did they relate to you at that early, starting point of your business?
I think, to be honest, when I started, I didn't really know what I was doing, and my initial marketing tactic was to be the cheapest. So I obviously didn't do myself any favours there. But when you start out, you've got to know what you're doing. Nobody does. So yeah, I kind of brought that on myself, to be honest. I was trying to kind of undercut competitors, and it got me my first few clients. So I do think it was a complete learning curve, and it was worth doing, but. I don't think my age really necessarily stopped people from working with me. I just think, I think a lot of people were kind of willing to give me a chance, because when I spoke to my first few clients, I was very honest and just said, look, I've just come out of uni, I'm setting up, I'm more than happy to do you a deal, for the first few clients. And I just sort of built it up from there. But whether that was the right approach, I'm not sure. But I mean, it worked to begin with.
As I say, it worked, so it's got to have been the right approach.
True.
And how did it feel, so coming out of university, did you always know that you were going to set up your own business, or were you assuming that you would go out, get a job, and, wherever that would take you, or, what were your expectations?
While I was at uni, I really wasn't sure kind of what I wanted to do when I came out, and I went to the University of Lincoln, and I actually stayed there for an extra 6 months after, just because I didn't want to be a grown-up and get a proper job, as it were. And I was sort of applying, I really remember applying to all of these media jobs, and it was such a daunting task, and all of them were where you would start off as a runner, you'd be on really, really terrible money, you'd be working ridiculous hours, and it was kind of like, you would have to work for years and years and years and kind of hope that you might maybe move, meet someone who's higher up who gives you a chance and kind of progress slowly. Whereas I didn't want someone else to tell me, what they were going to pay me, what they thought I was worth, what hours I was going to work. I just hated that kind of hierarchy of, the people at the bottom working so hard to be people above them. So although I wasn't sure that I was going to run a business, I was sure what I didn't want, and what I didn't want was to be working for terrible money and sort of starting again from the bottom. So I guess the natural kind of answer to my problems and what I didn't want to do was to work for myself.
And how did you come to make that decision?
I actually went to it was an event at university. It was kind of for people that didn't really know what they wanted to do, so I was very much their ideal client. And I went along, and I met a few people there who had set up businesses, and they were I think there's this kind of preconception that people who run businesses are, older men in BMWs, but in suits. You don't kind of realise that people that are just like you do run their own businesses. So it kind of opened my eyes, and from there I met someone from the Prince's Trust, and who eventually gave me my business loan, and I ended up doing their program. So it really was just a case of meeting other people and realising that, it is achievable and it is doable.
And did you find it, when you went down that route, were you feeling, was it scary? Was it exciting? Was it some mix of all of those things? Were you worried about how you were going to, survive and pay bills, or, what was it feeling like?
Yeah, complete mixed bag, actually. I mean, it kind of felt right in my gut. It felt like the right decision, but naturally my brain was kind of, going through all those doubts and, sure you can do it, think of all the work. But because I was going from a poor university student, going to a poor business startup wasn't really a big jump for me, which made it a lot less scary.
It was a fairly smooth transition.
Exactly that. And I think excitement was the thing overall, but of course there's always going to be worries and stuff, but yeah, it felt right.
And with the Princess Trust, so I actually do some e-mentoring for the Princess Trust, which I've just started fairly recently. So I know that they're working both with people looking for jobs and also starting up businesses. How do you feel that, apart from the financial aspects of it, how do you feel that supported you in getting your business up and running?
Oh, they were brilliant. I remember, I think it was like a 4 or 5 day initial course that you go on, and they teach you all about taxes and all the important stuff that schools should be teaching you but don't. And then going on from there, just the whole experience of pitching to a panel and the fact that you get a business mentor. I think I had mine for 2 years. It's constant support, and like I said earlier, you've got no idea what you're doing. Everybody needs that guidance who's gone down that route. So just having someone that you can ask questions to and someone that holds you accountable was definitely what kind of built the foundation of my business. And I've got I owe them a lot for how I operate today, because I still remember all the stuff they taught me, and yeah, they're brilliant.
Oh, that's excellent. And well, it's really nice to hear how they are helping people. As I said, it's fairly early days for me being involved, so I haven't really seen anybody through to really make a big change as yet. They're just starting out.
Oh, fab. Well, you will see them, definitely. There was loads of people that were really successful from it, so I'm sure you'll get to meet a few yourself.
I'm looking forward to it. So, Holly, when you started, so you've gone through that transition of, I no longer want to do events or weddings, and you're starting to identify that niche of small business owners. How are you now finding your clients, and what are you doing to, I guess, establish contacts and keep new clients coming in?
Yeah, so I do a lot of networking at the moment, which works really well for me, particularly the ones that are like a membership one, so you see the same people kind of every week or every month. They work well because you tend to build up relationships with people, rather than the ones that you drop in and you don't necessarily get to know people that well. So that's a real big source of clients for me. I also use Facebook marketing, which works quite well. And in terms of getting old clients back, I mean, this was always something that was quite tricky for me, just because with a promotional video, you tend to do one and that's it. You might do a refreshed one in a few years or so, but I found that actually introducing other video services like testimonial filming, content video for social media, doing things like that works really well. And it just means I get to work with the same clients again and again, which is, what I love. I love working with them. And I think we've already built up that relationship. So it's much easier to work with them again because, they've already trusted me and they've already seen what I can do for them. So, that tends to be my main kind of sources of clients.
Well, and around the networking, I know a lot of people I've spoken to find networking can be quite daunting. So, the first time you're going into a room or you're speaking to people you haven't spoken to before. How did you find it?
Oh, the first one was horrific. I mean, it was such a great meeting with the best people, but I remember going in and I was so nervous. And normally, as you'll know, when you go networking, you get an opportunity to kind of stand up and talk about your business for a minute. And I think I just stood up, said my name and mentioned something about video and kind of sat back down. My heart was racing and it was just such a scary experience. But that as soon as I'd done that first one, I absolutely loved it. I started doing loads more in my area, and it's just a confidence thing. And the people that you meet are so welcoming, and there is no reason to be scared. It's just, it's out of your comfort zone when you begin. So that's why your initial one's scary. But that people are so kind, and they're always so supportive of what you do, and it really kind of helped build my confidence with public speaking and just going into meetings. And so now I don't think anything of it, but yeah, that first one I remember was terrifying.
Well, and I know because I've joined one of the groups that you used to belong to before you moved to Swindon, and I know that everybody, when I mention you and say I'm, that we're meeting to interview, and that everybody is just so, well, they're kind of sad actually. It's like, oh, Holly, she's lovely and she's moved.
Oh, that's lovely.
It is. It's very nice. So you're obviously made an impact on the group there. When
they were great. I miss them so much, but I'm still a part of Athena. I'm part of the one in Swindon now, so it's lovely. But I do miss them all.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised, and they are a lovely group, and it's nice that you've got the group now to get to know in Swindon as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you're working with people, I know somebody, she's a photographer, and one of the things that she deals with is that a lot of people are, I don't know about men so much, but particularly women, are really uncomfortable seeing themselves, with pictures, photos being taken of them. Do you find that that's true, and possibly even more so with people being on video?
Oh, 100%. And I actually specialise in working with women who are camera shy. So I hear it all the time, like, oh, I'm useless on camera. I've tried and I'm rubbish. And the fact is, if you can have a conversation with one person, you can be on the film. It's just that kind of fear that people really struggle with. And when I film with people, it's always all the kind of pre-preparation work is done, so they really know what they're going to say. And I work with them on the day just to kind of make sure they're comfortable, and to give them tips on kind of how to present and how to talk to a camera, because it's not natural talking into a lens. It's really not, and it never is going to be. But the more you practice, and when you've got someone else to kind of bounce ideas off, it becomes so much easier. And what I always say to people is, look, your first take is going to be terrible, because most people's are. But once you kind of get into it and we get into the swing of things, you'll just completely relax. And it's not like I show up with a big camera crew, it is just me, a camera, and the person. So it's as easy as it possibly can be. And I'm yet to find someone I can't work with. So hopefully it stays that way.
So you're there to make them feel warm and give them confidence.
Yeah, exactly that. And I totally get it. And I once sort of didn't really get what the fuss was about. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to film myself. And I totally got it. Like, I was nervous and I was kind of stumbling over my words and stuff. So it made me really understand it. It kind of helped me to get into their mindset a little bit. But it's one of those things, that no one enjoys doing it. I've never worked with someone who's so excited to be on film. But it's one of those, it's like anything with your business, sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone in order to grow and get more clients, really.
And that's something which I think takes a lot of people by surprise, because they get into business, or they start up a business because they're good at something. So, you were good at media, and, somebody else is good at photography, or, whatever else they are. And then they discover all of those other things that they need to do, which do take them out of their comfort zone and don't necessarily play to their strengths. So it can be really challenging.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. But I think what's important is to delegate the stuff you're not good at. You're like you said, you're good at what you do, which is why you set up a business, but you're not going to be good at all aspects of it. So get other people into your business who are good at that and pass it on to them, because, people are kind of quick they don't want to spend money on things like that, and they don't want to spend money on a videographer. But actually, the time that you're spending doing something you're not enjoying, time's the only thing you're not going to get back. You can always make more money, but I don't want my time wasted. So that's, I think delegating's the way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, there's kind of that point where you can't necessarily justify the spend, but it's making sure that you can, as soon as possible, that you do justify it, because the results that you'll get are, one, as you say, your time, two, just the quality is generally so much higher than what you would do yourself. So for example, a couple of years ago, I decided I had been doing as a sideline, I was doing some design work of textile design, and I'd had various cushions and things made up. And I was looking at them, and I'm a reasonable photographer. So, I've had, people like my photos, things like that. So I thought, oh, I can do this myself. And then I started taking pictures of them and realized that what I take pictures of is landscapes. And I'm quite good at landscapes. I'm no good whatsoever at products. And so I hired somebody to do them, and just the quality and the difference, it was money well spent. It was so much better than anything I would have been able to produce myself.
That's exactly it, and it's kind of, people get stuck in that vicious cycle of, I can't afford the help, so I'll do it all myself, so I run out of time, so I can't spend time doing what I love, and until you break that cycle, you'll never kind of grow, and you'll never be able to kind of get to the next level, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that when I work with people is sometimes looking at going, well, actually, that does need to be done. And so that should be one of the first things that you delegate. So again, as soon as you can, delegate that piece so that it's off your plate and you can start focusing on the other elements. But it's hard because when you're worrying about money coming in, you do worry about the money going out, and you don't necessarily have that confidence or belief in yourself that you can make more money.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've been stuck in that cycle so many times. And, I invested in a business coach last year, and it was terrifying. It was a huge amount of money, but it kind of felt right, and I just had to trust that it was meant to be, and that I would get my investment back and everything. And it did pay off, it's been brilliant, but I totally get that fear zone, so it's never going to feel easy ever.
So when you're working with people and they start to come back to you, so they've done that initial video and then they're looking for some of those, other content videos, the other services that you're now offering, do you find a difference? Do you see them growing and becoming more comfortable and proficient in front of the camera?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they've always kind of got those fears still. And they've always, I think, again, the first take is never going to be as good as the rest of them, but I can definitely see a big difference. And I think with video, before you've worked with a videographer, it's that kind of unknown element. You don't really know what to expect, but the fact that we've already worked together, they kind of know the setup, they know what's coming up. So I think it just takes away that whole element of surprise. And yeah, they definitely always seem a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident.
So if you were going to, so if somebody had decided not to hire you, Holly, and they've decided to do their own video, what tips would you give them? So if they're just going to, do something fairly simple, maybe just sitting in front of camera, are there any key tips that you could say, at least consider these things?
Yeah, definitely. The most important one is face your light source. So natural lighting or ambient lighting is the most flattering. So if you can film your videos in the day facing a window or do them outside, that will really improve your videos. And also just practicing is always a good idea, and making sure that you're looking into your camera on your phone or on your tablet, whatever you film on, because people will feel like they're having a conversation with you, and it kind of builds up that rapport with them. If you're looking all around the room, they're kind of not necessarily engaging with you. And just keeping it still as well, if you can invest in one of those, you get little tripods on eBay for about £5 that hold your phone, and keeping it still will also really kind of help build that engagement factor, because when you're walking around with your phone, you tend to make your viewers feel a little bit seasick. So keep it stable, face the light source, and just keep practicing, and your videos will get better and better.
Excellent. Thank you. And I know that, the videos where people are walking around, I hate those. It's just that, when, as you say, they're holding their phone and they're talking to you and everything's shaking. And I think, I just don't want to look.
Yeah, you're not alone.
So, Holly, some of the other things that, we talked about before, and in some of the information you sent me, is that you are looking to try and create a workspace for other creatives and trying to put together a small team for, as you move forward. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I'm all my time is being kind of consumed by editing at the moment. I'm doing quite a few courses for people, like online digital courses, as opposed to promo. So I'm spending so much time doing that. And I thought, as much as I love editing, I don't want to be doing it every day. So the kind of answer to that is to take on like a junior editor, someone that I can kind of show them how I like to work, and kind of just kind of mold them into what my business is about, and kind of help them to grow and get more confident in editing. And I just think, I always hated when I was younger that hierarchy of working. When I've worked in pubs and in retail and stuff, and you kind of start off from the bottom and you've got someone above you who's telling you what to do and someone above them. I never want to kind of create that environment. I want anyone that comes into my business, I want them to feel like it's theirs as well. And I want them to kind of see us as equals rather than see me as a boss telling you what to do. I want them to kind of be able to say, right, I want to work these hours and this is what I'm worth, and kind of go at it from that angle. Because I think if you've got someone who's happy working with you, they're gonna want to stay with you, and I think businesses that have got such high staff turnover, it's because they're not happy, so I'm really keen to kind of create a space for people where they can feel like they're a part of the team and they can feel like it's their business as well as mine.
And what types of things are you doing in terms of the space itself, or is the space more of a mental space in terms of how they feel and how empowered they feel?
I'm sorry, say that last bit again.
Sorry, is it more of a mental space in terms of how they feel generally and how empowered they feel?
Yeah. I guess I want them to. I mean, the reason I want to take on an editor specifically is because they're someone who's going to be really passionate about video, and they're probably someone that found editing through their love of video. They probably did it as a hobby before, because that's how a lot of editors come about. So I guess it is more of a mental thing. Yeah, I want to create an environment where people are doing what they love doing, and they don't feel like they've got to work for someone they don't like, working hours they don't enjoy, and all that. So yeah, I guess it's probably more of a mental space than physical.
And how do you think you would deal with the situation if it arose where somebody maybe wasn't pulling their weight, or where things weren't working out, and you did need to step into that boss role? So your goal of being equal and fair and equally valued wasn't necessarily working. How would you feel if that arose?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I guess it's all about balance, really. I know you can't kind of be everyone's best friend all the time, and you're always going to be in situations where you've got to play that boss role. And I think where I've witnessed it be done wrong in the past is when I've worked for companies and they just kind of talk at you and talk down to you and say, this is what you've done wrong. And it's not, it creates an angry environment. I think actually, if you just talk to people and kind of explain what your concerns are, and kind of speak to them and say, well, what are your concerns, and just kind of be really honest and not kind of aggressive with it, is probably the way forward. I mean, there's always going to be people that don't pull their weight and are lazy. And I just think I wouldn't ever let my business suffer. If I had to get rid of someone, then that's the case. But I think just making sure you actually talk with people and check they're happy, and, get them to give their input as well. And I think just being approachable to people is probably going to help eliminate those people that, aren't pulling their weight. And it just, creates a better environment for everyone.
And I think you're right. Speaking to people and having a discussion with them is always going to be much more productive than speaking at them and just dictating exactly what they do. And I think sometimes people who have maybe found it difficult in other environments can really flourish in something where they are being given that respect, and they are given, the opportunity to speak and to feel that they're inputting to the way things are done.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I've only come to realise that through having jobs in the past where, where they do just talk at you and they do tell you what you're doing wrong. And it just doesn't work. Why would it work? So I'm all about, motivating people and making sure that they're happy and that they're listened to. Because, if you don't have happy employees, you're not going to have a happy business, and you're going to find it hard to get happy clients. So it's kind of a win-win situation, really.
It is. And where do you want the business to go generally? If you look further ahead, do you see yourself having, a team of video marketers, or do you see it as still always being yourself with maybe just a few more people supporting you?
Yeah, I think probably the latter. When I first started, I had these visions of having like massive buildings, big headquarters in London, and I wanted to, go get massive and serve really massive companies and huge clients. But actually, as I've been going for the few years that I have, I've kind of realised that I like being quite a small business, because I think it's more approachable to other small businesses to work with a business that's similar to theirs. And I definitely want to branch out and get kind of support with extra editing and extra camera people, like I mentioned earlier. But I never want to have, at the moment, I never want to have, a huge team and a huge headquarters. It's not really me. I quite like the kind of small business lifestyle that I've got at the moment.
So keeping it personal still with your business and anybody that you bring into your business.
I think so, yeah. I think sometimes companies can kind of lose their personality a little bit when they go really big, and it all becomes all corporate, and not all of them at all, but, that's not what I want. I do want to kind of keep it personal and small. And, I'm really happy with where I'm at the moment. I just want to help more business owners. So I guess just kind of keep going in the direction that I'm going in, hopefully take on some people and kind of let it grow naturally, I guess.
That sounds excellent. And I think you're right about when they become bigger as corporates. I think it's quite difficult to maintain that personal touch, because they just get big and you don't necessarily know everybody. So the companies that do manage it, I think, are really impressive, but I think it is a very difficult balancing act.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think the same for a lot of my clients as well. When we're kind of putting together some marketing to go in their videos, they want to use all these big words and sound really corporate. And I say, well, that's not you. You're a small business, and the advantage that you have over big businesses is the fact that you can be personal. You can send your clients birthday cards and just little things like that that people love. That real personal aspect. And I think that's why video works so well for small business owners, because you get to kind of engage with your clients and your prospects all the time, and you get to really build up that rapport and build up that know, like, and trust factor, and it just feels like they know you personally.
And that is so true. I think everything that I've seen and heard over the past couple of years, it is all about that. It's about you and what you bring, and that some people are going to work with you because they like you. Some people aren't going to work with you because they don't like you. And that's fine, because you don't want to work with the people who don't like you, because you probably don't like them either.
Exactly that. And I remember when I first started out being heartbroken if I lost a prospect, and I'd spend sleepless nights thinking, why do they not want to work with me, when it's fine. You're never going to work with everyone, and I think the right people will come to you, as long as you're specific in your marketing about who you want to work with. You've just got to know that, like you say, not everyone's right for you, and the ones that are right are the ones you want to work with. So don't worry either way.
And with the people that you're working with, so once you've got them, they're now thinking in their marketing headlines, they've done the video, they've overcome to some degree, their concern about being in front of the camera. Once you've completed that video for them, do you provide any support or help them to actually market it, to actually, get it seen by other people?
Yeah, well, I always say, as part of all my packages, I always include support. Once your video is made, I don't just kind of make it and leave them to it. I'm not an expert in web design or anything like that, but I've certainly got experience uploading to YouTube and Facebook and that sort of thing. So, all my clients, I always say to them, look, if you get stuck, just drop me an email or give me a call, and I'll always guide you as best I can, or send you in the direction of someone who I know can help you. Because I want them to be able to use their video. I want them to kind of get it out there. I don't just want to, I don't want to sort of cut off all ties with them as soon as it's done. So it's really great for me actually to hear how it's doing, and I do get in touch with them and just say, say a few months after we filmed, how did you find it, and how many clients have you got as a result? And that's the most rewarding part for me, is kind of hearing how well their video is done and how many clients they've got as a result of it.
So it's actually not just the act of doing the video, but really seeing them gain the benefit from it, which gives you the buzz.
Exactly that. Yeah, I only sort of try to work with one client a week, actually, just because it means I can really work with them, and kind of really find out how they're doing, rather than getting loads of people through the door and kind of not finding out what happens. You know, I really like that kind of aspect of it, of getting to know how it worked for them. And, you know, it's learning for me as well. You know, when I hear how their video's doing, it always gives me more ideas, and it allows me to help future people. So it's, you know, it works both ways.
And do you have much of a community of other videographers that you work with, or I don't mean work with, but that you're associated with, that you share ideas off? Or do you find that you tend to not be in that kind of community?
Yeah, well, it's brilliant, actually. When I first started, I thought, you know, all these video competitors, you know, I wonder what they're doing, and I would look at their websites and stuff. But because we're all so different, it doesn't really matter that there's other people, you know, around you that do what you do. And I've worked so many times with other videographers in the area, and I've called upon other videographers when I can't do a project. And, you know, I think you should be supporting each other, you know, and I think if you help another videographer, they're then going to help you. You know, it's kind of a two-way street. And as I said, I've been on loads of shoots working as a camera assistant for other people. And just because, you know, not everyone kind of understands the world of videography, so sometimes you just need another videographer to chat to, just because, you know, you can relate and kind of talk about your problems and stuff that you're having. So yeah, it's really nice to kind of have that community built up. But I very, very rarely come across a female videographer, so all of my video friends are guys. But so it'd be good to meet some more female videographers.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of whether I know any other ones or not. I'll have a think and let you know if I do. The ones that come to mind immediately are male as well. I know lots of female photographers, but
yeah, it is that way around. It's a very male-dominated industry, but that's not a problem at all. It's just interesting how that's kind of happened.
Yes,
over the years.
Yeah. And it's great to be seeing them as supports, because I think, again, that when you're starting out, that feeling that you had of their competitors is entirely natural. And it's hard when you're trying to make those, those dents and to start, getting some business, to not feel threatened by them. So being able to see them as a support and recognizing the differences and how you can help each other is really valuable.
Oh, definitely. I completely agree. And also, it's being self-employed can be lonely, so having other people to talk to, especially in your industry, is so beneficial. And I know so many videographers that have given me so much advice, even though our ideal client might be the same or really similar, they're still so keen to help. And it makes your life so much easier being open to working with people rather than working against people. You won't get anything. And as I said earlier, chances are your ideal clients are going to be different anyway. So it pays to connect with them, because if they get someone asking them for a video that's more your genre rather than theirs, they're going to call on you to work with them. So it really is worthwhile making friends with them.
Yeah, as you say, it can make a huge difference. And that loneliness aspect is, I think, on most of the interviews that I've done so far for the podcast, that comes up on a regular basis, that, we all have this rose-colored view of working for yourself and the flexibility, and the reality of how lonely it can be doesn't hit until you encounter it. So as you say, establishing that community is really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think networking helps with that kind of lonely aspect as well. And I think I would really struggle if I didn't go networking and meet other business owners. I think that's probably the best advice I can give to anyone starting up, is just go out and meet people, because, it can be really lonely. But when you've got other people that you can meet who are in the same boat as you, it just makes it so much easier. And I always think that the pros completely outweigh the cons of being self-employed. Obviously, one of the cons is being lonely. So if you can eliminate that, you're sort of onto a winner.
Yes, exactly. And how are you finding being in a new area and needing to start networking with new people? Are you finding that exciting or scary, or are you still really working with people from around here?
Yeah, I mean, it helped that I've obviously moved networking groups from my group in Camberley, and I moved straight to the one in Swindon. So already that was a good way of kind of meeting people in the area. And I think, although it is daunting, feeling like you've got to build up again, it's also really exciting because it's a whole new group of people. And funnily enough, my first ever client came from Swindon, so I do actually have a couple of connections here anyway. So that's handy. And I'm just really excited to meet more businesses.
That's kind of funny, isn't it, that you followed your first ever client?
I know, it's come full circle.
And Holly, I know that you are, I think, is it your first international job coming up?
That's right, yeah. Tomorrow I fly to Malaga to film with a business coach, which is exciting.
Very exciting. So is it somebody who is actually based in Malaga, or is it somebody who you know more locally and that's where they want to do it?
She's actually someone who runs my the coaching program that I'm a part of now. It's her company, and she's got a few houses. She's got a couple in England, I think, and one in Malaga. And she just said, look, because I'm paying monthly for this coaching, and she said, would you I don't know if you'd be interested in, instead of paying for it, just doing a skill swap. So I'll get the coaching in return for doing some videos for them. And she just said, look, I don't have any time to film in England. I don't suppose you'd fancy us flying you out to Spain and working, and I'm obviously not going to say no to that. So
I'm like, oh no, I'm terribly sorry. I'm too busy to go somewhere warm and sunny and
yeah, I mean, especially as Swindon's pretty grey and rainy right now, I'm really excited.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really exciting as well, to be starting to, go further afield.
Thank you. Yeah, and funnily enough, someone got in touch with me yesterday who wanted she's a yoga instructor, and she wanted some videos filmed as well. And she happens to live in Malaga as well. So I don't know why I keep getting drawn back to that place. But yeah, I'm not complaining.
No, exactly. Make the most of it. Maybe soon you'll have a second home in Malaga as well.
I hope so. That's the dream.
So, Holly, if we go just onto the personal side, I suppose, and, a lot of the people I'm speaking to are people who have, they're in their second or maybe their third career. They've often, got a family, and they're trying to balance their personal life, possibly their children, and making, big changes. So for them, I guess I relate to the transitions and some of the challenges they're making, but you're at a much earlier stage, and I know that you're living with your boyfriend, and I think it was your hamster, your giant bunny, and was there one other thing living with you?
We've just adopted another hamster yesterday, so 2 hamsters, a rabbit, and my boyfriend.
I noticed that the boyfriend is third.
Yeah, it's that hierarchy.
So how do you find keeping the balance, not just with your family, but also keeping the balance with maintaining a social life, with, not working all of the time, and just keeping your well-being at the fore of your thinking?
It's really difficult, actually, and it's one of the things that I've definitely struggled with as a business owner, and I know loads of other people do, because it's your business, it's your baby. It's really hard to switch off. You don't kind of come home at night and forget about it. It's always in the back of your mind. But for me, I created a default diary. So for every day of the working week, my hours are kind of divided on a spreadsheet. And I know that on a Monday between 10 and 11, I'm doing my Facebook marketing. And then from 11 to 12, I'm doing something else. So because it's all kind of mapped out for me, it makes me much more productive, but it also means that once I've finished, I know that I've got everything done for the day, and I can kind of switch off as much as you possibly can. I think that's how people burn out. They don't stop working, and they carry on and they carry on and carry on. And because for most people, you set up because you love what you do, and you're just going to fall out of love of it if you're working so hard. So it is so important to make sure you book holidays and, work the hours that you want to work. Don't feel like you've got to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. It's not about that. It really is about finding the balance and making sure that you do allow time for, for personal things, because the last thing you want is to burn out and stop loving what you do love.
Absolutely. And do you find that you're, that scheduling, that making sure that you've planned out what you're doing, Has that evolved as you've been running the business, or was it something that you put in place fairly early?
For the first kind of year and a half, I'd never heard of a default diary, and I was just kind of working as and when. I'd be working really, really late each night. So yeah, I mean, it has kind of developed, and it probably will change every sort of few months, I imagine. But I'm starting to have my weekends back. You know, I've not been working weekends for quite a long time now. And yeah, I mean, as the business kind of evolves and as I start working with different people, it obviously means things have to shift around, you know, especially as I start to film more video courses rather than promos. They take up a lot more time. So it is just about reshuffling it, but it's helped me massively, and I really recommend it to anyone who struggles with procrastination or struggles with, you know, staying focused, because I completely get it, and it really does help.
I know. You mentioned that you suffer from shiny object syndrome.
Massively, yeah.
So in your free time, do you find, you know, is videoing what you like to do in your free time as well? Is it something that you think, you know, yes, I get immense pleasure out of this, or do you have other hobbies and things which you kind of step away from the camera?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I am still so passionate about filming, and I love it, but it kind of blurs the line. If I start doing it in my spare time as well, I know I'll end up just editing work for clients and stuff. So I try and keep them as separate as I can, to be honest. But I mean, I'm a musician. I play the drums and guitar and piano, so I really like to do that in my spare time, and it works quite well actually, because all my videos, often need a backing track. So being able to record my own music for it, you know, has obviously kind of helped me quite a lot, and it means that I can give people a completely bespoke video, you know, it's completely for them, and they're the only person, you know, in the world with that bit of music and stuff. So yeah, I guess all my hobbies kind of interlink with work and kind of personal time as well.
Oh, that's really nice, because I know one of the challenges, you know, with videos and things is finding music, and finding music that you like, finding music that you can legally use, and is different, isn't the same one that everybody else is using. So that's a really, as you say, a neat tie-in to bring it together with you enjoy doing it, but it's also adding to your business as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I see a lot of established video companies that use music that's been watermarked, and, you know, they haven't paid for it. And I think you can get into so much trouble for it. You know, you are breaking the law. So it's so important to, as you mentioned, make sure it's copyright free, and being able to create your own music, you know, it means you'll always be safe, and you don't ever have the risk of it suddenly being taken down. And, you know, although it's very unlikely you'll get caught, it's just not worth the risk. You know, it's very serious, and people do get caught out. So if you are going to use music, it's so important to make sure that you've got permission, and that, you know, you're not going to get sued for it.
Well, and I'd be really annoyed if I'd paid somebody to do a video and they'd used music that, you know, neither they nor I had the legal right to use, because again, that's, you know, if you're putting music on it, I'm expecting that it's something I've got the right for, and the worry and the stress if it did get, you know, and with the algorithms and things get found a lot more quickly. I remember a while ago, somebody was doing, it was being done via Facebook Live, and as part of their presentation, they just wanted to play a snippet of a movie, and they started playing the snippet of the movie, and Facebook came up and stopped it. So this algorithm was like instantaneous, that it was, hang on, you're playing this movie, it's on Facebook Live, you can't do that, stopped. So
yeah, it's so clever. It's so clever now, technology, and Facebook are really hot on kind of hearing music or music from a film or just from the charts, and they will take it down for you. You can get in a lot of trouble for it, and it's just not worth the risk. And like you say, if you're paying money for a decent video, the last thing you want to be worrying about is whether you can use it legally, you know. And I think some videographers think that it's one of those things that, you know, they won't get caught, and because the laws are a little bit confusing with copyright and royalty free, and I think the lines get blurred a bit, so they probably don't mean to do it intentionally, but, you know, it's not right to do it. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's someone else's artwork that you're using, you know, and it's not fair to not pay them the money for it. So yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah, and I agree completely. And that there was something that I did, which was using a little video tool, And I used one of their pieces of music, which, was provided by them. And I think it was YouTube that came back and said to me that there was a claim against it. But they were, the company that provided the software were obviously used to this. And they said, all of our music is legal. You are allowed to use it. All you need to do is respond with this. And then, YouTube will look at it and then they'll realize that it's okay. And if they don't, then talk to us. So it was still that kind of worry of, are they going to take my video down? But it was a really clear process, which made it a lot easier because I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. So
yeah, that's very reassuring.
Yeah, exactly.
No, definitely. Sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I think I was just going to say about YouTube. Yeah, I mean, obviously, once your video's on there, you've kind of racked up loads of views and you're getting traction with it. The last thing you want is to have it taken down. Once you've worked so hard to kind of get it out there, and if you take down a video and then re-upload it, you're going to lose all your previous views, and it's just not worth starting that whole process again.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, as you say, ethically, you want to make sure you're using things you've got a right to, and whether you've paid it for it or you've used something which is free for commercial use and all of that. But you don't want to take advantage. And just the stress if you were getting caught would, I don't know, make life difficult, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
So, sorry, I'm just thinking about because I know we've gone around a few things. What about the challenges of running a business? I think most business owners have highs and lows, and there are good times and bad times, times of self-doubt, or as we mentioned before, loneliness. Have you been experiencing or experienced any of those, and how do you keep yourself going?
Yeah, tons of times, and I think no business owner has a completely straightforward line, of progression. It's always massive highs and massive lows. And the thing to remember is that it's not going to be every day it gets better and better and better. It's going to be some days are incredible, some days are okay, and some days are terrible, just because things go wrong. And it's one of those things that when it starts going wrong, you're then put in a bad mindset. And I'm a big believer in kind of laws of attraction. I think if you're kind of down about things and you're worried about things, you're just going to attract more worry. So although it's really, really difficult, I think staying positive is going to make all the difference. And I believe it's made all the difference with me. And for me, if I'm having a bad day or things just kind of aren't going, I'll just step away, even if it's just for a few hours, and listen to an audiobook from someone that's inspirational, or just kind of take some time out and just remember that all the times that it's gone horribly wrong, it's going to then go amazingly well again. So it is just kind of staying grounded. And I think also having other business people that you're close to that you can kind of chat to is always so helpful. And having that support network of people that you can talk to, is always going to be helpful. And for me, it really is just a case of staying positive and remembering that, not every day is going to be amazing. There's always going to be hard times, but I still so strongly believe that all the pros massively outweigh the cons. So even when it is going badly, just remember why you do what you do, and just kind of, bring it back to basics. And I'm always really grateful for kind of where I am and the fact that I get to do what I love every single day. So just kind of remembering all of that really does help. And I also keep a journal of kind of gratitude journal. So every day you write down 10 things that you're grateful for. And, when things don't go right, if you look back through that journal, you start to kind of remember and you start to reconnect with why you set your business up. And for me, that makes all the difference.
And that's really great advice. And So one of the things I found really interesting doing these interviews is some of the similarities that are showing up between different entrepreneurs, and the gratitude journal or something along those lines has started to show up so many times. And I think it's a really great idea because it's so easy to lose sight of those things, and so easy to just focus on the moment. And if that current moment isn't great, then, as you say, it brings you down. So being able to look back at those can be a really uplifting experience. So So I think it's great that you're doing them, and I think it's kind of great that so many people seem to be doing them now as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think also another good tip to help you, if you've got like a Facebook page with reviews on, or if your clients have sent you reviews and they've kind of recommended you, it's really nice to read back on them. And I think whenever I've been having a day where I've got self-doubt, I just go on my Facebook and have a look at what people have written, and it really does remind you, you know, that if you stop doing what you're doing, you're not able to help other people, you know, and people need your help. Whatever business you run, you will be helping people. It doesn't matter what industry it's in. So for me, I know that other businesses who need help with their video marketing aren't going to get that if I stop doing what I do. So that's also a really good kind of way of helping you to stop being, you know, like things are going tits up and start kind of, you know, remembering all the good times.
Kind of reminds you that it's not all about you. It's like, no, I'm doing this and it's helping other people.
Yeah, exactly that.
And Holly, as I think I mentioned at the beginning and when I spoke to you initially, I think it's really inspirational how you've started up your business and how you've made the progress you have and where you've got to so far. Is there any advice that you would give to other people, whether they're students who are currently in university, whether they're people who, you know, haven't gone to university and are looking for what they're doing, or equally somebody who's thinking about leaving their job, that they're working, you know, somewhere that isn't giving them satisfaction? Anything you'd like to share or advise them on?
Yeah, well, I think honestly, you only get one life, you get one shot, and you have to live to your full potential. You know, I know it sounds so cheesy and deep, but I really do believe that, you know, and so many people are spending their working life not enjoying it. And that's 5 out of 7 days. You know, think how many years you're going to waste not enjoying it. And I think for me, what really helped me to make the decision was knowing that it's been done before. You know, that whatever you want to do has been done before. There's millions of business owners doing what you want to do right now. So you know that it's possible because, you know, other people exist. So I'm a really big believer in jump and the net will kind of appear. So, you know, I always think that the life that you want to lead is kind of outside of your comfort zone. So, you know, no one ever lived out their dreams, sat in their comfort zone. So if it's something you want to do, just go for it, because nothing's really permanent. You know, if you say you decided to kind of set up your own business venture, whatever your dream may be, if it doesn't work out, you know, it's not the end of the world. Just go back to doing what you were doing before. So you haven't really got anything to lose. And I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people. And obviously for me, I didn't have a family, or I didn't have a big career, so maybe it was an easier jump. But I still think that, you know, you've got to do whatever makes you happy, and you know, like I say, you've only got one shot, so you may as well kind of live life to your fullest potential and just go for it.
That's really wonderful, Holly, and I can just hear the enthusiasm in your voice as you're saying that as well. And I think you're right. It can be hard to make the leap, but if you don't make it, you'll never know what would have happened, and you'll never know if it would have worked. And if it doesn't work, then your life will go somewhere else, and it will still take you, you know, I believe it will still take you ultimately somewhere positive.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And, you know, my worst fear is kind of being on my deathbed and thinking, I wish I'd done more of that. You know, no one ever regrets trying to follow their dreams and do what they want. So, you know, I just think it's so.
I always remember somebody saying to me, I was feeling really ill, and I kept going into work. This was one of the contracts I was working on quite a long time ago now, actually. And my manager at the time said, go home, go away. I think I'd started taking some new medication, which was making me feel really horrible. And she said, go away. And I do mean, you know, go away for a few days. She said, because nobody's going to admire you if on your gravestone it says, you know, Deborah worked really hard. and it was so true.
I love that.
Exactly. It's like, is that what you want your gravestone to say? And it's like, well, no, actually, you're kind of right. Maybe I don't.
Exactly. You know, you've got to be selfish, and you've got to put yourself forward. And I don't think it matters where you are in your life. I've met so many people that, you know, are in their 60s, some of them in their 70s, that have recently set up a business. You know, it's incredible. And it's just, you've got to do what you were meant to do. And like you said earlier, if it doesn't work out, it will lead you to somewhere else anyway. So I do think you've just got to kind of keep the faith and do whatever it was you were supposed to do.
That is really wonderful, Holly. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk. I've really enjoyed it. And is there anything you want to say as we wrap up?
Just thanks for having me, really. And it would be really great to kind of meet other sort of young entrepreneurs that have maybe come out of university or come out of college. It's always great to meet other people, and I try and do a bit of public speaking with colleges and just to kind of show people that, that you don't have to get a job if that's not right for you. So really, I guess it's just a case of, telling other young people that it is possible, and not even necessarily young people, just anyone who wants to run their own business, that it's totally doable. And I hopefully look forward to meeting a few people in a similar boat to me and carry on working with other business owners, creating videos for them as well.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Deborah Levitt on Bridging Gaps, the Business Podcast.